roles?
Yeah, I'm McHenry, the writer, director, producer of Consumed by You.
Dallas Schaefer, I played Atlas.
Amazing. What inspired this short?
The idea originally came to me when, I guess is the idea of fine dining experience and the culinary experience being a sensual experience.
Okay.
And from there, I started writing it and became enamored by the characters and kind of devolved from there. But yeah, it was mostly, I wanted the story to be grounded in romance. The more I explored the characters, I realized that it was a story about two people in love, trying to be themselves in a world that's not accepting of them being themselves.
Amazing. What were the different substitutes that or meats? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah,
That's
we
my
used a
first
lot of
question.
pork.
A lot of pork?
Yeah, pork mostly. The goal
Did
was
you get
to
sick
have...
of eating pork?
No, I love pork.
You love pork?
Yeah, I'll let Dallas take that one since he had to eat all the
Yeah.
food that we made for him.
What was that like?
Yeah, like you said, it was a lot of pork. It wasn't really bad, but I guess thinking about the context of what our characters were imagining the meat was a little weird, I guess. But at the end of the day, it was just pork, so I didn't mind it, really.
Was it a lot of pork? Did you do a lot of takes?
We didn't do too many, just we couldn't afford that high of a grocery budget. So it was a lot of cold food. But yeah, the goal culinary wise in the script was to have it look appetizing early on. A lot of time, I think Atlas is a character we talked about in rehearsal. We see these characters doing it for the first time when he eats his partner's calf. So they're artistic about it. They put a lot of prep time into it. They're trying it for the first time. We also tried to motivate that through the camera. It was locked off, a lot of close-ups, very intimate, vulnerable moment for them, trying something new together with a partner. And I wanted the food to look appetizing, and then as this romance kind of devolved into a self-destructive romance, a toxic relationship, the food became more gross. There was less pageantry about it. They were no longer in gowns and tuxedos. They were, in white t-shirts and eating ground meat and gravy. So tried to have the food and the culinary experience match the relationship in that way.
Amazing. I had one question. Love is a dog from hell in the book. Does that have any significance?
Yeah, I picked that one off my bookshelf because, I think it's, in a nutshell, kind of what the movie is about.
Okay. I don't know that book, that's why I'm curious.
Yeah, it's a Bukowski book of poetry when he was an alcoholic.
I got that.
Had many relationships with many women, yeah. But I think the title was more indicative of what I think the movie is about. And finding true love and being together comes with some side effects as well. But I think, mostly, like I said, I wanted to ground the movie in the romance, and I wanted the characters to truly make each other happy as well. We talked about that a lot in rehearsal.
Do you two work together often?
This was our first time.
First time, yeah.
And how was it, Dallas?
It was, a movie like this is really intimate, and it got really intimate. So once we kind of just all became that level of comfortable with each other, we were just we were playing tennis, it was a good time. But just, initially from complete strangers to then making that transition period is the weird stuff. But then once you get comfortable, then it's all play, if that makes any sense at all.
You reached flow state together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to say thank you to my actors for trusting me. This is a script, when you bring it to somebody, they have to trust that you're going to do a decent job with it, because I think it's a strange concept and it's a strange line to balance, like a balance beam to walk on, keeping it grounded and not letting it get too ridiculous that you lose the audience. So hopefully I didn't lose the audience here. We were hoping for a few more laughs in there. I was hoping that the coffee mug was the tonal indicator that you guys were looking for, that you were okay to laugh at us.
One more question for you, then we'll open it up to the audience. Did you have any specific visual references when you were building this, or did you leave that to production design? I feel like there's a very specific color world.
Yeah, color-wise, we didn't use a ton of references. I do like Yorgos Lanthimos movies. I think he does a great job of going into strange worlds and keeping you attached to the characters and their journey through these strange worlds by grounding you in the characters, treating this bizarre and absurdist worlds like it's not. So that was one of the influences on this. And then color-wise, I did build a color palette with production design and costume, where we wanted to have them together in their romantic world at home, be colorful, bright, a lot of greens and pinks and reds. And then when she had to go interact with the outside world that was not so accepting of them, we used a lot more neutral colors, a lot of blues, cooled it down. So that was the color palette we built. They obviously took the money we had and made it look extremely high budget, I think. And yeah, I think a lot of the restraints that I had to do as a director as well was that because it was an intimate story and I wanted the camera work to be reflective of the character's mindset, is I used a lot of close-ups. There was very limited amounts of wide shots, and when the set deck looks that good, I would have loved to just done a lot of flashy stuff with the camera and show the whole room. And you know, production design is a good way to make people think that you have a lot of money and are a good filmmaker, but we had great performances, and I just wanted to have you sit uncomfortably in a close-up with our characters. And
then she did.
Yeah.
All right, any audience questions? Don't be shy. Yeah?
Tell me about the big, great coffee cup.
Yeah, like I said, I thought that we needed a tonal indicator for people to understand that there was some comedy in there and that we are aware of the absurdism of this world that we built. So we wanted to do it physically instead of through performance. Like I said, I just didn't want to take my actors and make them feel ungrounded in these situations by making them do big flamboyant things or go over the top with their performance. So I wanted to do it subtly through set design, and we used some Petzval lenses as well when they were alone together. So we tried to show things more through production design and cinematography than anything else, to show that there was some comedy and that we can enjoy the ride instead of taking it super seriously.
Were there like a choice of a few cups and you went with the most absurd?
We actually went with the most grounded. So there was some gigantic, we had some like Superman mugs and some things that were really on the nose that I just thought were, it was like I wanted to find the middle ground of absurd and ridiculous, but I didn't want it to be kitschy in any way.
Definitely landed.
Thank you. That's my favorite joke in the movie as well. For sure.
Yeah.
At what point did you have the inspiration to go towards the cannibalism? Was that your intent from the beginning, or did that evolve through telling the story?
Yeah, so that was, like I said, I started with the idea of the dining experience being like a sensual, sexual one. And you're basically sitting there having a physical pleasure with somebody else sitting across from them. And it's pretty intimate. And then I had that image in my head, and for some reason or another, I said, well, what are these people eating? And my instinct drove me to say, well, what's the most intimate thing you can do with a partner? Because to me, love is about giving all of yourself to somebody. It's a selfless action, so what's the most selfless and giving thing you could do would be to give yourself to that person. So that's why I chose that.
All right, I think we have time for one more audience question. Anybody? All right. Oh, yeah.
How'd you shoot the wheelchair scene where she has no legs?
Yeah, so we have a great practical effects girl named Angie Shell, she did a great job. basically had her kneel on the wheelchair, and we put some bald caps on her legs and then brushed them up. I think the bald caps cost like $2 and the paint cost a few bucks, so we were able to do that amputation look for like less than $10. And then we just camera rigged to the wheelchair, added some grip arms and hung the camera below and behind the wheelchair. And then we did a side rig as well so that we could see her knees. And then we just had to weigh the whole wheelchair down by putting some sandbags in her lap and things like that so that it wouldn't tip over with the heavy camera 5 feet behind her. So,
Great. Thank you so much.
yeah, thank you.
All right, we have the